Hi and welcome to Skill Building Saturdays. Today, this is a tutorial on the French seams, how to sew French seams. So French seams are one of my favorite types of seam finishings. It is used for lightweight fabric or sheer fabric like chiffon or organza. What the French seam does is it encases your seams inside of a casing, and you will see. So the first rule of thumb is to sew with right sides together, but with the French seam is different. But the only thing about the French seams is a nice finish, but it doesn't work well with curves. So there's something called a mock French seam, and that will be highlighted next Saturday. So make sure you stay tuned for that. So, and it's also for sheer. The mock French seam is also for sheer fabrics or lightweight fabrics. So I marked my fabric right side, and this is no marks. It's going to be the right side. So wrong sides are sewn together, starting your first step with the French seams. And with the French seam, there are two seam lines. You're sewing 3/8 of an inch is your first seam line, and your second seam line would be a 1/4 of an inch, because 3/8 plus 1/4 if you're sewing for a 5/8 inch seam allowance. So I have sewn my 3/8 of an inch, my 3/8 of an inch. Then you open it up. And you can press it with the iron or just finger press it. Make sure you get it down real good if you're not using an iron. Then you want to cut your seam down, because if you don't cut it down, it will show through when you do your second stitching, which is 1/4 of an inch. So after you clip your seam line down, I clip my seam really low because I don't want to show through when I do my 1/4 of an inch seam. Make sure you hand press or press with an iron and clip your, trim your edges, trim your threads. So then you turn your fabric with no more markings, right sides together. Hand press that seam or use an iron, and make sure you check your iron temperature for the fabric that you're using. Make sure it's not too hot. And then we're gonna stitch a 1/4 of an inch seam from the edge. I marked mine. I'm done with the 1/4 of an inch. Trim your threads. Press your seam to the back of your work. This is the back, and this is your front. So, and make sure you press the front of your work. Now, these are strings that are hanging from the inside, very little. And this is your French seam. Be sure to press. This is the front of your work, and this is the back, the French seam. Make sure you stay tuned for the mock French seam. Now remember, this seam is not good for curves, and the mock seam is good for curves and lines on sheer fabrics. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time on Skill Building Saturdays. Bye.